Hello everybody, my name is Karryshh and welcome to another recap video. This time it's a latest Korean horror anthology film, Tarot. Actually, it's an ongoing series which will have 7 episodes, but they've put together 3 best ones and turned them into a film. It was more of a thriller horror than supernatural horror, but overall, it was 6.5 out of 10 according to me. Now we're gonna talk about stories from Tarot movie, but first, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and like this video, which will help me out a lot, and it's free for you to use. With that said, let's dive into the video. So the movie begins with the first story named Santa's Visit. This story begins with Christmas week where we see a woman named Ji-woo and her daughter Mina. Ji-woo takes Mina on shopping and we find out that Ji-woo is jobless and broke, but she has applied to a job as a cashier. In the store, Mina goes and picks up an expensive doll which obviously Ji-woo can afford, and then suddenly, Ji-woo finds a tarot card of Wheel of Fortune on the floor and she keeps it thinking it's good luck. However, soon Ji-woo gets a message saying that she has been accepted as a cashier in the departmental store, which makes her day, and she promises Mina to buy her doll as soon as possible. That night, Ji-woo reads Mina a story about Peter Pan, and afterwards, Mina tells her mother that she's hearing weird noise from her closet. Ji-woo investigates the closet for Mina, but nothing is there. The next day, Ji-woo goes to her mother's house, who runs a local home meal delivery business. Her mother tells her that finding a tarot card is good luck, and that's what the internet says when she looks it up. Soon Ji-woo goes to her job where she was accepted and meets the boss, who's really rude to her, and he even tells her to work on Christmas, which upsets Ji-woo, since she wanted to stay home with her daughter. That day, Ji-woo tries to look for a babysitter but fails. At night, Ji-woo reads another story to Mina, and she tells her about the job thing on Christmas night. Mina understands her mother and doesn't make a fuss about it, but they also talk about Krampus, Santa's evil brother, who takes the kids away who doesn't respect their parents. The next day is Christmas, and Ji-woo's now on a job when a customer leaves that expensive doll behind. Ji-woo puts that doll aside, but she has other plans for it. She calls Mina and tells her that she'll bring her that doll tonight, so it means she wants to steal it. However, Mina tells her that she's with Santa Claus, who came out from her closet, which confuses Ji-woo. Ji-woo asks if there's an intruder, but Mina insists that she's with a real Santa, who has given her a doll as well. The line gets cut, but Ji-woo is now worried, so she texts her daughter and asks for details. During lunch break, Mina reveals that Santa has black beard and he's wearing black clothes, which shivers Ji-woo, and she realizes that something is wrong. Then the boss interrupts, telling Ji-woo to go back to work since her lunch is over. Ji-woo works again, but she continues to text Mina, who tells her that she's played with the Santa. However, the boss interrupts again and tells Ji-woo to not use the phone at work. Ji-woo tells the boss that there's something wrong at home and she might have to go home early, but the boss denies and gives Ji-woo only 5-minute break. Ji-woo goes and calls Mina, but she doesn't pick up. And then she calls her ex-husband, but he doesn't care about Mina at all, which raises Ji-woo's concern even more. Then suddenly, she gets a video call from Mina. Ji-woo picks it up and sees Mina dressed like an elf. Mina tells her that Santa dressed her like that, but Ji-woo doesn't believe until she notices that someone is holding the phone for Mina as she dances for her mother. Someone is definitely with Mina, which scares Ji-woo to her death, and that someone cuts the call. Ji-woo instantly goes and asks the boss for the day off, but the boss stops her and calls her a thief after showing her the doll she was going to steal. He takes Ji-woo with him and asks her several questions, but Ji-woo just tells him what really happened when Mina calls again, but this time, the boss takes the phone and won't let her pick up, making Ji-woo furious. He takes Ji-woo in the back room where the CCTV footage is checked, and Ji-woo finally turns out as innocent. This gives Ji-woo the upper hand, and she does what she should. She scolds the boss for his doings, snatches her phone back, threatens the boss before quitting her job and leaving in a rush. Ji-woo instantly calls Mina, but Mina informs her mother that Santa wants her to come with her into his world. Upon this, Jiwoo screams and tells her daughter to not go anywhere with anyone. But Mina tells her mother that she should be at home for Christmas, but she's not. Jiwoo apologizes and runs at home, but when she finally reaches home, she can't find Mina anywhere. Jiwoo searches the entire house and finds a photo of Krampus with Mina following him in the closet. This scares Jiwoo and she looks into every corner, and then she notices the elf's costume Mina was wearing on FaceTime, which makes her believe that perhaps Krampus is real, who took her daughter away. Still hopeful, Jiwoo trashes her place in order to find Mina and gets a flashback in her head in the end, where she was talking to people on phone calls, but everyone was telling her that Mina is dead and she should move on. It was as if Mina never existed in this story. It was all in Jiwoo's imagination, but we know that something supernatural is happening because of that tarot card. So it could be that Krampus purposefully deleted Mina's existence from all minds for obvious reasons. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments, because this is where the story ends. The second story is named Late Night Taxi, which begins with a guy named Dong-gi, who is in a cop car with two cops. Dong-gi is a businessman, but he's corrupted. However, soon the cops ask him why he did the murder, and he tells them a story, which begins a few hours ago that night, when Dong-gi found a tarot card of the Fool, and it accidentally gives him a bad paper cut, or more like a card cut. That tarot card somehow changed Dong-gi, but then after shower, he was talking with his wife when his mistress interrupted, who was just a gold digger. Dong-gi's wife has no clue that her husband is cheating. That night, Dong-gi wanted to go meet his wife, but the mistress started demanding money, or else she would expose his corruption. Dong-gi handled the mistress calmly, and then went and took a taxi, but the driver was strange. The driver starts asking about Dong-gi's personal life and identity, which Dong-gi found strange. Suddenly, a biker overtakes the taxi, which outrages the driver, and he ended up road raging with the biker for a while, which scares Dong-gi even more. Dong-gi notices a tattoo on driver's neck, and tattoos are considered highly inappropriate in Japan and Korea. Now, Dong-gi kept the driver busy with chit-chats, but he secretly looked into his things and found his ID card, which was covered in blood, scaring Dong-gi to hell. The driver saw all that, but Dong-gi somehow manages to get away this time, and he then knew that he was in trouble. Dong-gi started noticing strange stuff about the driver, and then the driver stopped the car in the middle of nowhere to pee. But Dong-gi knew it was for something else. The driver went to pee, but he also called someone, and Dong-gi followed him to eavesdrop. Dong-gi heard the driver talking to people who were gonna come over to handle a dead body, and Dong-gi then certainly knew that the driver must be some kind of assassin after him. Dong-gi then ran but trips, and the driver saw him. The two laughed it off, and driver escorted Dong-gi back into the car. However, Dong-gi could and would save his life at any cost, and that was why he distracts the driver for a while, and then suddenly stabs the driver's neck with his pen multiple times and brutally murdered him before the driver could do the same. He then dragged driver's body out of the car and tried to flee, but couldn't because the taxi's tire got stuck in a hole. Then a text message popped on driver's phone, and it was from the men who were coming to get the dead body. But Dong-gi thinks if those men would have any idea of who Dong-gi is. He took the chance, and soon two men came to take care of the body. But Dong-gi had already put the driver's body in the passenger seat, and he introduced himself as the driver to those men. Luckily, the plan worked, and Dong-gi told him that the body is in the back. However, instead of checking the passenger seat, the two men opened the car's trunk and found a dead stag. When Dong-gi sees that stag, he realizes the driver was innocent, and the dead body he was talking about was actually the stag, and these two men had no clue about what Dong-gi did. Soon this information got leaked, and those men obviously ended up attacking on Dong-gi, but Dong-gi fights back and somehow escaped. In the end, the two men were looking for Dong-gi when he attacked them from behind with a cube and knocked them out. Dong-gi knew that he is now stuck deep into this mud, and to keep his options open, he put the unconscious men with the dead body and burned the car. Jongi then called her wife and told her that he is soon coming home. He tried getting into a taxi from the road, but he ends up getting arrested by the cops we saw in the beginning, to whom Jongi was confessing everything to. However, after hearing the entire story, one of the cops told him that they arrested him under the act of murdering his mistress, who was found dead at the hotel. And now the scene goes in the past. Actually, you see, before getting into the taxi and after having the argument with the mistress, Dongi ended up murdering her with his pen, and it means all the murders done in this story is by Dongi. Now the cops find out that he has murdered more people, and Dongi thinks of something else. He immediately brings up his pen and ends up murdering those cops in the car too, causing the car to almost get into an accident. Dongi escapes, and in the end, he's now going home, but he knows that all that happened because of the tarot card, and that was why Dongi throws that card and his pen into a locker he finds at an underpass, and this is where the story ends. The third story is named Please Throw Away, which begins at the same place where the second story ended. We follow a delivery man named Rai, who's passing through that underpass when he sees a tarot card stuck on the lockers. He takes the card, which is named the High Priestess. Thinking it's good luck, Rai keeps the card. We meet to Rai's best friend Hyunjin, who tells him that it's good luck to find a tarot card. And then we see Rai delivering food tirelessly all day to earn the ends meal. At the end of the day, Rai goes to deliver food to an apartment where a woman named Kyunmin lives, and she stops Rai even after taking the food. She gives him water to drink, and Rai drinks it cautiously because the woman was kinda strange. After water, Rai leaves, but Kyunmin keeps staring at him. The water was weird, and that's why Rai goes and cleans his mouth with fresheners. But then the next day, Kyunmin once again ordered the food. This time, Kyunmin was waiting for him at the door, which Rai finds strange. Kyunmin gives him a bread to eat, but he denies, stating clearly that he is not into her because she's not her type. But then Kyunmin gives him a hefty tip, which Rai obviously couldn't deny, but he managed to keep things professional and he leaves. Since that day, Kyunmin begins to order every day. The next time when Rai meets with Kyun, she was already waiting for him with the tip. This time Rai denies the tip, but Kyun insisted until Rai takes the money. She then pulls up her skirt and tells Rai that she's in love with him, which enraged him. This turns into an argument and Rai throws the money away. Kyun leaves in anger, but Rai picks up the money off the floor before he leaves. Now Rai calls Hyunjin and tells him everything, but Hyun just tells him to stay away from that woman. Next day, Rai goes to pick up food, and now the local restaurant were also suspicious of that woman. However, that day, Rai's company calls him and gives him a warning because someone has filed a harassment report against him. This crosses every limit, and obviously, Rai goes to have a chat with the woman with her delivery. But this time, Kyun doesn't open the door properly. Rai asks Kyun why she reported him, but Kyun denies the allegations before taking her meal and putting a bag of trash out of the door with some money, telling Rai to throw it away on his way out. Rai goes out with the trash, but a red stain appears on his shoe, which was obviously blood, but Rai mistakes it for animal blood. Next time, same thing happens and Kyun doesn't say a word to Rai. Then Rai takes out her trash, but this time Rai investigates and finds multiple clothes soaked in blood, which raises suspicion against Kyun. Next day, Rai tells everything to Hyun, and he once again tells him to stay away from that woman. But Rai wants answers, and that's why that evening, after delivery, when Rai takes out Kyun's trash, he takes a sample of a meat piece from it. He goes home and experiments on it and finally discovers that it's human flesh, which shivers his spine. He tells everything to Hyun, who instantly calls the cops, but Rai stops him because the police ain't gonna believe him without proper evidence. And that evening, Rai decides to get proper evidence. He goes to do the delivery thinking the same thing would happen, but this time Kyun doesn't come out of her house at all, and Rai finds the front door open. Rai goes inside and finds Kyun's house covered in tarp and something red on it. Everything and everywhere was trashed and everything was reeking of meat. Rai wanders around to find Kyun, But soon he finds a counter covered in blood and another counter topped with tore up human flesh pieces. However, what makes Rai throw up was a tattoo on the skin of a piece, which was the same tattoo he saw on Kyun's thighs. And now you can guess where the story is going. Suddenly, Kyun calls Rai from a dark corner, and she was looking skinny. She tells Rai that she finally lost her weight and now she's definitely Rai's type. Rai screamed at the woman, asking what did she do to her, and then Rai's feet get stuck in a bear trap that was meant for him. Rai falls down and starts screaming as Kyun walks towards him. When she finally comes to light, we see that she had flayed her fat off her skin to become skinny. For Rai, since she was in love with it, Kyun's evil body now repulsed Rai even more. But he couldn't run as Kyun comes with a needle and a thread near Rai's face. Rai screams, and the scene goes a few days later, where we follow another delivery man who comes for the delivery at Kyun's house. Kyun calls the man inside, and the man finds the same thing Rai found inside the evil apartment. But soon, the man finds something shocking. He finds Rai locked in chains with his mouth sewed up. Kyun had made him her pet, and seeing that, the man screams. Rai tries hushing the man, but he's unsuccessful. And I guess now the man will become another victim of Kyun. And this is where the movie ends. So this was the recap video on the movie Tharad, and I hope you have liked it. If you have, then please subscribe the channel and like this video. I really need your support to grow further. If you want to watch this movie, there's a link to my Telegram channel where I share movie links every now and then, so go subscribe there. I'm mostly active on Insta, so go follow there as well. And look into my other channel where we discuss about the mysteries of the world. All the links are in the description box. For now, I'll see you all in the next one. Till then, stay awake, cause they always see you.